Welcome to Lambo's Water Sports, featuring the Big Brother, featuring Sideline Sports Network. Now we're going to talk about the NFL, all right? Jacksonville Jaguars have been in London, by the way, for 3 weeks. I understand that Trevor Lawrence is married, but I hope he don't has no side chicks in London because, like I said, London ladies, they love the Americans, by the way. But Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-0. The defense stopped the Bills, which was, the game was 11-7 at one point in the fourth quarter. The Steelers defense creates havoc. They beat the Ravens. We thought it was going to be a little 28-24. They won 17-10. And Matt Canada, he still needs to get fired. But when you watch that Titans celebration, he was just not, I guess he wasn't too high, wasn't too low. But George Pickens was the main guy.
We'll talk about that later. Play.
Well,
Kenny made the check. Kenny made the check.
Well, he called. I forgot what he called. What he called? What audible did he call? You know what audible he called? He said something like a word or something.
And it was someone's name.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll probably find it. But also, ladies and gentlemen, the Colts win. Not only did we pick the Colts, I brought Mattpatt for a business decision, and now he can brag to America. He can brag to anybody that he has closely to his family and whatnot. He has said that Gardner Minshew deserves a starting job in the NFL, and he's doing it well. By the way, I hope Anthony Richardson recovers. He will be out for quite some time with a sprained AC joint. Same injury that Derek Carr has had, but Anthony Richardson has to protect himself. But I think Gardner Minshew will do well for the Colts going forward, all right? But first, we're going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, all right? Travis Etienne, ladies and gentlemen, 132 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen continues to struggle. The defense did a great job on Jacksonville, the Buffalo defense. I mean, it was 11-7. What did you expect? But they couldn't stop that run game, by the way. And we have some concerns for actually, by the way, it's 136. I apologize. We have concerns for Josh Allen. We were high on that run game weeks ago. They couldn't run the ball for nothing. But Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, both combined for 14 receptions, 221 yards receiving. But it just wasn't enough despite 359 yards passing in general. Crucial interceptions for Josh Allen. But also they had a chance to win the game, but they just had penalties that held them back. They had a little pick route, which I didn't think it was really a penalty. And then they had offensive pass interference. Then they had offensive holding. So they still scored a touchdown, by the way. But Buffalo came flat. They looked sluggish. Were you surprised that Jacksonville beat Buffalo?
I mean, yeah, I was definitely surprised. I thought Buffalo would get the win. I was more surprised at how well the run defense held up for Jacksonville, and then how quickly the Bills went away from running the ball. I understand it was like they were down 11-0 in the first quarter, but like you mentioned, it was 11-7 by the second quarter, and it remained that until the fourth. And so for it to be so low scoring and for it to be just close the entire time, for the team to only run 14 times as a whole, obviously, they only had 29 yards. James Cook only carried the ball 5 times for -4 yards. And coming off a week where he was down in production last week as well, but then the weeks before that, he looks like a true running back one in this league. So it was a little confusing why they didn't try to, run the ball a little bit more, but also credit to Jacksonville for being able to stop the run when they did try it. And then, like late game heroics almost worked with Steph and Gabe making big catches. That was 19 targets between those two guys. And he threw the ball 40. So both of the, he's going to those two guys and they don't really have much outside of that. Dalton Kincaid, tight end that they drafted to be like a pretty relevant weapon in this offense, hasn't showed up like all year. Dawson Knox is still average. He's been that except for like the 1 year that he had like a good amount of touchdowns, but he's playing the same way he's played pretty much his whole career as well. So the offense I mean, Josh, obviously, like, I'm not going to say the offense wasn't clicking. He had 360 yards in the air, but no run game. The yards come a little bit too late, and your defense can't make a stop. What I think losing White in the secondary is it showed its head today. That is a legitimate loss. Not that anybody wasn't thinking it was already, but I think it really like proved what it opened up in that secondary. They also lost Matt Milano at the linebacker, so that's a really tough loss. He's a top level linebacker in the league. So the defense didn't look great. They lost another key piece. So yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm a little bit worried about Buffalo, but I think though, same deal with the Cowboys. You know, like this game does worry me for sure, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that they're still going to win like 12 games and be a playoff team.
All right. The Steelers pulled off. The defense was great. George Pickens was the main part of the offense. Matt Canada, like I said, he still needs to be fired, but the defense prevailed. The key part, there was up 10-3. It was up 10-0. They're up 10-3. That block punt really gave the Steelers momentum. That block punt and like the 1 yard line, that gave them the momentum. They're lucky that won the touchdown. But the defense did what it could until the end. But the Ravens receivers dropped a lot of damn balls.
Yep.
They just was dropping balls. They had a touchdown out, but they had 2 touchdowns dropped. One, Nelson Aguilar dropped one. His sorry ass couldn't do nothing with the Patriots. And then somebody else dropped a wide open touchdown pass when they drove in the red zone. So it's a lot of dropped balls. Lamar Jackson threw a pick, by the way. They still ran the ball, I mean, well enough. The 125 yards was 48 by Gus Edwards, 45 by Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers did his thing. Mark Andrews did his thing, but the turnovers, they had a combined of 4 turnovers, interception or 3. They had an interception and 2 fumbles. So when you have that, it's not going to win the game at all. The Steelers did just enough. They're going into the bye week, and the Ravens play the Titans in London, which should probably be a game to watch that we'll probably talk about later into the week. But what are your thoughts on this game? I'm not panicking on the Ravens, but just with Mark Andrews, they said they need to wake up because they shouldn't have lost to the Colts and they shouldn't have lost this game. So there's certain plays in both of these games when they lost to the Colts and the Steelers, they could be 5-0.
Yeah, and more than that, now they're technically behind the Steelers when it comes to who's leading the division. So,
Yep.
like that's in a division that it seems like the Bengals are back, which I was wrong about. I didn't think, we'll get into it, but I didn't think Joe's leg would just magically be better in 1 week, and obviously it was. He was running around like crazy. But it looks like they're back. The Steelers are finding ways to win ugly games, which is what they've done under Tomlin basically the whole time. And the Browns, are competitive in basically every game they play. So I think this was a division at one point that looked like the Ravens could create some solid separation, and they've allowed it to stay close. And now they've allowed it to where they're not even leading the division anymore. So, who knows? Like by the end of the year, I think it will be the Ravens, but games like this and then games like the Colts game, yeah, they need to wake the hell up pretty soon because they're letting a division that they should win pretty easily, I think, slip to being more competitive than it should be.
All right. Final game before we get into the Cowboys losing in the ass whoop, and then of course it's the era of Bill Belichick over. That will be in the same video next. But the final thing we're going to talk about is Mattpatt was right about Gardner Minshew. He should have a starting job in the NFL. Now, Anthony Richardson has been hurt. All right. Jonathan Taylor did return with a new contract, but Zach Moss has been going off. And the Tennessee Titans, or who we thought we were, Ryan Tannehill always throws an interception. Derrick Henry didn't run the ball, but DeAndre Hopkins had 140 yards receiving. So, I mean, the pass game is going well. But the Colts, they just keep doing what they do best. When you give up 165 yards to Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor only had 6 carries, but you give up 193 total yards rushing. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, they do what they do. Overwhelming. Tennessee does not have a very good pass defense, like you mentioned weeks ago. Are we sleeping on the Colts? I mean, can they possibly maybe be set? I don't know about winning the division, but just with the AFC South, with Jacksonville being 3-2, the Colts being 3-2, is there a possibility it could be an AFC wild card?
I think that. I mean, there's definitely a possibility, but the AFC is so stacked that I think in the case of the AFC South, regardless of the Jags, the Colts, or, if CJ continues to play like he's been playing, I understand they just lost, but I think they could wind up with a very similar record to Indy as well. I think if you don't win the AFC South, you don't make the playoffs unless, the Colts somehow go crazy and Jacksonville's number 2 in the division, then maybe. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty safe to bet that whoever is in second in the AFC South probably isn't getting one of those wild card spots, just because, like the AFC East is definitely going to have 2 teams in the Dolphins and the Bills. And then you look at the AFC West and it's the Chiefs,
Chargers.
Chiefs and Chargers. Yeah, Chiefs and Chargers. So there's 2 there. AFC North, probably
Ravens,
2 there.
Ravens, Bengals. Once the Bengals get back,
right?
Steelers could do just enough, but those two, 2.
Yeah, I think there's 2 teams coming from every division, and that leaves 1 spot for the winner of this division, and I think it'll be the Jags by the end of the year. But I mean, it's possible that the Colts could wind up doing something, and who knows if there's a tie, who would win the tiebreaker and stuff. Like if the Bengals somehow come back and win that division, and the Ravens are in second, but the Colts and the Ravens have the same record, the Colts have the tiebreaker, so they would get it, So there's possibilities, there's ways it could happen, but I don't think it's very plausible.
And what about your rant? What do you have to say to the people out there that didn't think Gardner Minshew deserves a job? Because Gardner Minshew is doing it. He's doing that thing. He's doing it with Eddie Michigan getting hurt. What you got to say to all the Gardner Minshew haters and all this other stuff? Because he did well with the Eagles when Jalen Hurts was out for 2 games. He did pretty well. So what you got to say about that?
I've just, I've been on it for months. Ooh, I am lagged out.
I can still hear you.
Can you see me?
No, but keep talking.
Yeah, damn. I'm getting the ring of death. Well, if you can still hear me, I've been saying this for years, and I've been saying it for the couple months I've been on this show at this point. You can go and look at any of Gardner's stats from any year. He's not the most explosive every time, but he's a lot like Baker in the fact that he is accurate. He doesn't really turn the ball over at a high margin or high rate. Excuse me. He's worth a starting job for sure. Now, whose job do I take away? I don't know right now, but I definitely think that there aren't 32 quarterbacks definitely better than him.
Well, I do
imagine if the Jets had Gardner Minshew right now, they'd be a playoff team.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's it. Hey, you might be right about that because there's nothing without Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Man. Woo. Well, we won't never find out, I guess, because they still got Aaron Rodgers. But on the next episode, all right, is the Bill Belichick era over? The Patriots fall to 1-4. They have given up, I guess, 72 points in 2 games. 38 to the Cowboys and 34 to the Saints. And how about the Cowboys, baby? We told you, I told America about those Cowboys going down. And the big brother will rant on what the hell happened last night. But that is going to be in the next episode. We're going to rant to is those Dallas Cowboys. They are not Super Bowl contenders. They may, I could give you breaking news, but that's on the next episode of Lambo's World of Sports. See you later.